Greetings. From my hidden base at the center of the earth, I am fighting to save pop culture from woke wankers and cultural vandals. Help me win this battle against Hollywood by subscribing to this channel. We need you, my friends. Thank you. Greetings, my friends. I am Dictor Van Doomcock, the future ruler of Earth, and I have news and analysis regarding the issue of whether or not Kathleen Kennedy's contract is going to be renewed. I have consulted with my Hollywood spies, with sources, and with others who are familiar with the ways of that craven, unholy beast known by the name Hollywood. And I am here to tell you that not one of these sources has heard anything at all leading them to believe that Kathleen Kennedy's contract is about to be renewed. Now, of course, in my previous video, I likened her situation to the famous Schrodinger's cat thought experiment, saying that right now this particular cat is in a state of quantum superposition. In my analogy, she is locked inside a box with an automated compartment set on a random timer that may or may not open at any moment. That box contains a pink slip, but until we open the box, we don't know if Kennedy has gotten the pink slip or not. Not until we open the box and check for ourselves, thereby collapsing the probability wave function and resolving her fate. Is it possible she will somehow have her contract extended? Well, yes, of course. It goes without saying that Chapek and Iger can do as they like without prior warning. I mean, Chapek could wake up one morning, pour himself a cup of coffee and say, you know what? Today is a good day to renew Kathleen Kennedy, what the hell? But in this video, I'm going to share all that I've been told on this matter, and I'm also going to give my analysis of the recent Disney Gallery episode where Jon Favreau discusses the return of Luke Skywalker in the final episode of Mandalorian Season 2, what this gallery episode tells me regarding Kennedy's fate, and why I am still optimistic that her reign of terror is drawing to an end. Watch this video to the end, or you'll miss out on the most important part. It takes time to build this case. Your patience will be rewarded. First of all, let's be clear. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have won the Lucasfilm Civil War. Even with this new rumor of Kennedy's renewal, Mike Sutton acknowledges that even if she returns, Jon and Dave are in full control of Star Wars. That's not the issue here. The issue is, can we possibly support a company that rewards an individual who has utterly failed and has spent the last 5 years spitting in the faces of fans over and over again? On a personal level, even if Star Wars is out of her clutches, can we possibly look the other way when Kathleen Kennedy is rewarded for destroying Star Wars? I would find this difficult to swallow, for without respect, we reject. It's a horribly bitter pill to take, and I just don't know how I could muster up any enthusiasm for Star Wars. If I knew the quintessential devil in these matters, Kathleen Kennedy, is still striding the halls of Lucasfilm with impunity. Naturally, this is the case, given that I am a vengeful supervillain at the center of the earth, but of course your mileage may vary. Maybe that sits well with you, I don't know. And yet, all that said, I am as of yet relatively unconcerned for a number of reasons that I will share with you now. To start with, one of my sources working inside Lucasfilm and/or Disney had this to say in answer to my rather panicked query this past Saturday night. Quote, "I'm sorry I haven't been on the Twitter lately. Things are moving fast here. These rumors are going to be fast and furious from now until October 20th. That is the deadline for renewal of Kathleen Kennedy's contract. That being said, Bob C. is stopping multi-year contracts to get more choice to hire and fire. He has planned some major restructuring for this fall, which, in all the memos I have seen, do not include KK. Zinnia Muka and Alan Braverman are hitting the exits, along with several other high-level positions, including Vice President of Business Affairs, Director of Motion Pictures for UK and EU, all of which are KK cronies. Almost all of her woke supporters' jobs are up for grabs. Anyone can look at the careers site to confirm this, unquote. This source has remained adamant that Kennedy is out for several months now. Do I know for sure that she's gone? Nope. I don't have morning coffee with Bob Chapek, though, Mr. Chapek, if you ever want to get coffee with me, I'm buying. Yeah, that ought to pique his interest. Not. Still, the offer stands, and the same thing for John or Dave or Gina Carano, of course. Call me, folks. I'd love to chat. And furthermore, my Hollywood spies of Team No Ma'am have made contact with a news source, one so highly placed, I'm going to call him or her Big Shot, though that is not his or her actual code name. And Big Shot had this to say when queried about the Mike Sutton rumor. Quote, I know where this is from. I can't give too much away, but KK is not over Star Wars. This is not a renewal. She will be allowed to stay on till Indy 5 when it is done, then retire. John is over Disney Plus shows and the buck stops with him, unquote. My Hollywood spies have assured me that of all the sources they handle, this one is the one they give the most credence to. So we have a lot of folks telling us that Kennedy is not going to be renewed, and yet let's look at some further evidence, not rumors, but observation and logic. To that end, let's discuss the Disney Gallery episode that was just released. It is my belief that the mere existence of this episode lends credence to the notion that Kennedy is washed up at Lucasfilm. Please bear with me for a moment. I need to build this case. This episode features Jon Favreau discussing the return of Luke Skywalker in Mandalorian Season 2. It is obvious just from listening to the man that he loves Star Wars, and what's more, he loves Star Wars fans. The return of Luke Skywalker was something he wanted, not merely because it would be great television, not merely because it would generate huge buzz and drive millions of new subscribers to Disney Plus. He wanted to do it as a present to fans. I have been informed that Favreau and Filoni genuinely care about the fans and want to make it up to us for all the abuse and disappointment we've endured for these many years. If you watch this episode, you'll be able to hear it in his voice just how Star Wars is not just a job to him, it's a passion. In particular, I was impressed that given the drastic lengths he went to keep Luke's return a secret, he still insisted that Mark Hamill himself be on the set in costume personally playing Luke Skywalker. That was a huge security risk for the production, given how desperate he was to keep Luke Skywalker's return to the Star Wars universe under wraps, and yet, as a fan, he knew in his gut that for the good of the soul of Star Wars, to bless this return with the right energy, the right spirit, it had to be Mark Hamill in the costume, in the flesh. He talks about how he got chills seeing Luke with his lightsaber, and how he lost it when R2-D2 rolled out of the elevator, just as all of us did. It would have made a lot of sense, from a security standpoint, to simply use a deep-fake version of Luke and confine any possible sightings of him to the editing room, as the CGI Luke was rendered out by one guy, but no. No, he gave us genuine Luke Skywalker, the real McCoy, even though the video describes the major hoops he had to jump through to keep it secret, including shooting everything in one day. Clearly, Favreau won the Lucasfilm Civil War, but why does this video make me believe that Kennedy is gone? There are many reasons why, the primary and most obvious reason being that Kathleen Kennedy is nowhere to be found in this video. In the past, Kennedy has been an attention hog on things like this, insisting on being at the forefront of all publicity efforts, wanting to publicly receive her due as the keeper of the Star Wars flame. The fact that she is nowhere to be found in this video is damning evidence that Favreau is now in charge. But there's another, more important angle here, folks. The larger issue is, why did it take so long for this video to be released? Why didn't they release this behind-the-scenes publicity video in the heat of the moment when millions were flocking to Disney Plus to witness the return of Luke Skywalker and were clamoring for just this kind of information? Think about it, people. The reason this video was delayed so long, in my opinion, was because Favreau wanted to hold it until Kennedy was finished at Lucasfilm. Imagine, if they had released this video when Kennedy was still in power, it would have been a very different video. She would have been featured in it right alongside Favreau, interrupting him, taking credit for this, taking credit for that. So just as George Lucas delayed making the prequel trilogy until he wouldn't have to share the profits with his ex-wife, Marcia Lucas, as per their divorce settlement, so too, I believe, that Favreau delayed this episode of Disney Gallery until it was beyond Kennedy's power to alter it. That would seem to indicate to me that Favreau is in charge and Favreau knows something we don't. Could that something be Kennedy is all but out the door? True, in this video he mentions her a few times in glowing terms, saying what a great producer Kennedy is, what a joy it was to work with her. A brief tip of the hat before moving on, he barely mentioned her at all in this video, but of course, if his comments about Kennedy were as glowing as they seemed, why didn't he have Kennedy on to tell her that in person? It's just like Chapek was forced to engage in corporate speak when asked about Kennedy's future at Lucasfilm at that investors call, and everyone freaked out. He said he had absolute faith in Kennedy and that he looked forward to working with her for years to come. But if that wasn't bullshit, if that wasn't rah-rah obligatory corporate weasel talk, then why hasn't her contract already been renewed? That incident with the investor call happened back around March 10th, a long time ago. So if Chapek meant it, if he really did look forward to working with her for years to come, then why wasn't her contract renewal publicly finalized way back in May or June? Why has it still, as of this video, not been publicly announced? Folks, in the corporate world where Disney dwells, the Chapeks and Favreaus of the world do not publicly badmouth their executives, even if they hate their guts, even if they ate one of their younglings in a frenzy of crazed pagan rituals, even if they murdered Star Wars. It doesn't matter. You do not badmouth your president, lest the stock market take a plunge. Add to all of that the Forbes and Atlantic articles slamming the tenure of Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm and acknowledging the failure of Star Wars under Disney, and all of that adds up to the notion that Kennedy is finished at Lucasfilm no matter what this one person with one rumor says. Now, some of my sources are saying that they may keep her on through November when Indiana Jones 5 is projected to wrap. But this is not the same thing as a multi-year contract extension. Not at all. At this point, I'd like to add that there are a few sad little YouTube channels who hate me for being vastly more successful than they are. I also get regularly attacked by corporate shills and woke wankers who lie, distort, and misquote me in an effort to derail my channel, but to no avail. They'd love to say that if Kennedy does get renewed that I was, quote, wrong, unquote, and yet if you rewatch this video, or any of my other Kennedy rumor videos, you'll note I do not and cannot say she is absolutely gone. I have never said this. I am merely offering up rumors my sources have told me, along with thoughtful and nuanced analysis of the known facts on the ground, but at the end of the day, I leave it to you to make up your own mind about these things. These little nothing channels and shills and corporate wankers love to say that if Kennedy gets renewed, I was somehow, quote, wrong, unquote, but I've offered no prediction to be wrong about. I tell you, I do not personally know the truth of the rumors I report. That's what makes them rumors, as opposed to facts. Thus, whether she stays or goes, I will continue to report what my sources tell me. They are not psychics. They merely provide a glimpse of the current state of flux in the chaotic system known as Hollywood. A system where constancy is all but non-existent, and the situation on the ground can change in a matter of hours. All you can ever do in reporting these things is take a snapshot of that turbulent ocean at any given moment. But the waves are in constant turmoil, and in the face of all that chaos, all we can do is report moment to moment what we're told.
Difficult to see. Always in motion is the future.
That's what Yoda said about the Force, and the same is true for Hollywood. But Hollywood changes like the weather, folks, and all we can ever do is hold our finger to the wind. In conclusion, folks, take heart. On the one hand, you have a mountain of personal testimony and evidence from sources saying Kennedy will not be renewed. I have presented the case for that, and while I cannot guarantee that Chapek won't get a bee in his bonnet and just renew her for the fuck of it, just as I cannot guarantee an asteroid won't hit the Earth tomorrow or the devils won't crawl out of a volcano and devour us all tomorrow, I feel fairly secure at this point that tomorrow will come and go just like any other day, and the odds are excellent that Kathleen Kennedy will be moving on very soon. From the center of the Earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.